Yes, hold on. 1 second. It's going to be Ortiz and Rodriguez.
Okay.
Ortiz and Rodriguez.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
No problem.
Okay, let's see.
All right, so are you ready to get started?
I am.
All right. So give me 1 moment.
Okay.
All right, Judge, we're ready.
Okay. Good morning.
Buenos días.
This is your first appearance hearing before the Magistrate Court of Clayton County.
Esta es su comparecencia inicial ante el juez de primera instancia del condado de Clayton.
My name is Brad Gardner, and I am a judge in this court.
Mi nombre es Brad Gardner y yo soy un juez en esta corte.
I am not here to conduct a trial of your case or to take a plea in your case.
Yo no estoy acá para tener un juicio en su caso o para aceptar una declaración a cargos.
I am here to inform you of the charges that have been filed against you,
Yo estoy acá para informarle de cuáles son los cargos que han sido imputados en su contra,
to advise you of certain rights,
para decirles cuáles son sus derechos,
to set bail on those offenses that I am authorized to set bail,
para otorgarle fianza en esos delitos que se me permite otorgarle fianza,
to schedule a preliminary hearing,
para programar una audiencia preliminar
and to determine whether you require the assistance of an attorney.
y para determinar si usted va a requerir la asistencia de un abogado.
You have the right to remain silent and say nothing.
Usted tiene el derecho de permanecer en silencio y no decir nada,
But should you give up this right, anything you say during this proceeding may be used against you if your case goes to trial.
pero si usted renuncia a ese derecho, cualquier cosa que usted diga durante este proceso podría ser usado en su contra si su caso va a juicio.
So please don't discuss the facts of your case.
Ya que por favor no discuta, no hable de los hechos de su caso.
During this and all other proceedings, you have the following rights.
Durante este y todos los otros procesos, usted tiene los siguientes derechos.
The right to the presumption of innocence,
El derecho a la presunción de inocencia,
the right to indictment by a grand jury for most felonies,
el derecho de que se le formule una acusación formal para la mayoría de los delitos graves,
or by accusation for misdemeanors.
o de que se le formule una acusación por un delito menor.
The right to a speedy and public trial by jury.
El derecho de tener un juicio público rápido y por jurado.
The right to see, hear, and question witnesses who are called to testify against you.
El derecho de ver, escuchar y contrainterrogar a los testigos que sean citados a testificar en su contra.
The right to compel the attendance of witnesses to testify on your behalf.
El derecho de obligar la asistencia de los testigos para que testifiquen a su favor.
The right to testify on your own behalf or offer evidence in your own defense.
El derecho de testificar a su favor y demostrar pruebas para ser usados en su defensa.
The right to have an attorney represent you.
El derecho de tener un abogado para que lo represente.
If you cannot afford an attorney, one can be appointed to represent you if you qualify.
Si usted no puede contratarse un abogado, le podríamos nombrar uno si usted califica.
Some of you will be allowed to post unrestricted bonds for your release from jail.
Algunos de ustedes se le va a permitir pagar fianzas sin restricciones para que lo dejen salir de la cárcel.
The bonds may be cash, commercial, or property.
Las fianzas pueden ser en efectivo, comercial o usando una propiedad.
If you post a cash bond, someone will deliver the full amount of the bond and fees in cash to the sheriff's office.
Si usted paga la fianza en efectivo, alguien tiene que llevar la cantidad total de su fianza más las tarifas adicionales a la comisaría.
The sheriff's office will hold the cash and return it at the end of the case.
La comisaría se quedaría con este dinero en efectivo y se lo reembolsaría al final de su caso.
If you use a commercial bonding company, someone will have to pay a fee to the company for their service.
Si usted usa una compañía fiancista, alguien tendría que pagarle las tarifas a esta compañía por sus servicios.
The fee will not be returned.
Pero la tarifa no sería reembolsada.
I don't know what fee will be charged, but it's usually a percentage of the bond.
Yo no sé cuál sería la tarifa que le cobrarían, pero generalmente es un porcentaje de la fianza.
Finally, if you use property to post a bond,
Finalmente, si usted usa una propiedad para pagar la fianza,
the property will need to have a net equity in an amount equal to 3 times the total amount of the bond.
la propiedad tendría que tener un capital neto, el cual sería hasta 3 veces la cantidad total de su fianza para poder asegurar la fianza.
Some of you will have special conditions on your bond that prohibit you from contacting certain people or going to certain places.
Algunos de ustedes van a tener ciertas condiciones en su fianza donde se les prohíbe ponerse en contacto con ciertas personas o de que vayan a lugares.
This special condition will be provided to you in a separate form.
Esta condición especial se le va a dar a usted en un formulario por separado.
You will also be prohibited from contacting the victim while you are in jail.
También se le va a prohibir que usted se ponga en contacto con la víctima mientras usted esté encarcelado.
If you violate the court's order, your bond will be revoked.
Si usted quebranta la orden del juez, su fianza sería revocada.
And you could remain in jail until your trial.
Usted podría permanecer encarcelado hasta su juicio.
You could also receive additional felony charges.
También le podrían imputar cargos adicionales por delitos graves.
It is important to note that if someone is listed as a victim in your case, that person will not be allowed to post your bond.
Es importante saber que si alguien está nombrado como la víctima en su caso, a esa persona no se le va a permitir pagar su fianza por usted.
Some of you are charged with offenses for which this court is not authorized by law to set bail.
Algunos de ustedes se le acusa de delitos por los cuales a este juez no se le permite por ley concederle fianza.
In this event, a bond hearing will be scheduled before a judge of the Superior Court of Clayton County.
En este caso, se programaría una audiencia para pedir fianza ante un juez del Tribunal Superior del Condado de Clayton.
And you will be informed of that date.
Y a usted se le va a informar cuándo va a ser esa fecha.
If you are currently on active probation, this court is not authorized to set bond at this time.
Si actualmente usted está bajo libertad condicional o vigilada activa, a este juez no se le permite fijarle fianza en estos momentos.
Whether bond is appropriate in your case will be reconsidered after your probation officer has had an opportunity to consider this new arrest.
Si una fianza es apropiada en su caso, el juez lo consideraría después que el agente de libertad condicional haya tomado en cuenta su nuevo arresto.
The purpose of a preliminary hearing is to determine whether there is sufficient evidence to support the allegations against you.
El propósito de la audiencia preliminar es determinar si hay suficientes pruebas para apoyar las alegaciones en su contra.
The standard at this stage is very low.
El estándar en esta etapa es muy bajo.
A judge determining whether a charge goes forward at this stage only has to determine that it is possible that the crime occurred.
Para que un juez determine si proceder con un cargo en esta etapa, solamente tiene que determinar si existe la posibilidad de que el delito fue cometido.
Everyone has the ability to waive their right to a preliminary hearing.
Cada uno de ustedes tiene la capacidad de renunciar a tener su audiencia preliminar.
However, you should speak to a lawyer first if you are unsure about whether it is appropriate to waive your preliminary hearing.
Sin embargo, usted primero debe hablar con un abogado si usted no está seguro si es apropiado renunciar a tener su audiencia preliminar.
If you post bond, your preliminary hearing is automatically waived.
Si usted paga su fianza, su audiencia preliminar se cancela automáticamente.
You will receive notice at the address you give of your next court date.
Y usted recibiría una notificación en la dirección que usted nos dé de cuándo va a ser su próxima corte.
Would everyone now please raise your right hand?
Cada uno de ustedes podría levantar su mano derecha.
Do you swear or affirm any statements you make during this proceeding will be the truth, the whole truth, so help you God?
¿Jura usted y afirma que cualquier declaración que usted dé durante este proceso va a ser la verdad, toda la verdad y nada más que la verdad, lo jura ante Dios?
Is that a yes? Okay, thank you.
Muchas gracias.
Okay, we'll start with Ms. Wilcox and then we'll do Mr. Ortiz and Mr. Rodriguez.
All right, one moment, Judge.
Okay.
Your Honor, Ortiz has bonded out.
Okay, great.
Y'all have a seat.
Good morning, Ms. Wilcox.
Good morning, sir.
Ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass and 1 count of terroristic threats or acts. I'm setting a bond for $5,000 on the criminal trespass. And at this point, I'm denying the bond on the terroristic threats or acts. I'm putting a stay away provision on this bond to stay away from a Miss Belinda Wilcox.
Excuse me, sir. Can I say something?
Don't interrupt the judge while he's speaking, okay? Wait till you finish.
I'm gonna allow you to speak, Miss Wilcox.
Excuse me. Okay.
Give me 1 second. I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 29th in your case. And before we talk about the bond hearing date, I will hear from you.
Can I speak now, sir?
Yes, ma'am.
Sir, I come here from New York. My mama funeral. And everybody took over the house. They didn't make no terrorist threats or nothing. This is on my mama property. I said I can burn up all my stuff if I want to because it's my mom's. That's not a terrorist threat. And today's her funeral at 2 o'clock. And he ain't be locked up. They try to take over everything. And they supposed to be doing some kind of special condition. I did not threaten my aunt. That's my mom's property. I'm here from New York for the funeral. I've been here 2 days. And they trying to keep me out of everything. They had already did everything. Why that's here?
Let me ask you this question, Miss Wilcox. I saw that you had an extensive criminal history, but lately that seemed to have gone away. My biggest concern is the allegations that the people in that home are afraid of you.
Yeah, They're not scared of me, sir. That's what they said. They trying to have me committed so they can co-sign on my mama property to sell it. It's just me and my sister. My mom been dead about a week. They having a funeral today. I just been here 2 days. She said you'll be out the way in a minute. Now I'm out the way.
Ms. Wilcox, let me ask you this question. There's a stay away provision on this bond, which means you would not be able to go back to that house if I were to grant bond. If I grant bond to you, where are you going to go?
I'm gonna go to my niece's house.
And where is your niece?
But the my niece she's staying in Marietta.
Okay. What I'm gonna do, Ms. Wilcox, is I'm gonna set a $10,000 bond on the terrorist aggressor acts. I did have a concern about this when I looked at it. And as I said before, I did see your criminal history, but it has been relatively free lately.
Yes, sir.
You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date that's gonna be set for March 29th. Deputy Bland, I did not see a form, an attorney form. Did she fill one out? Are you aware?
She did fill one out.
Okay. Ms. Wilcox, let me ask you this. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
You can give me one.
Are you currently employed, Ms. Wilcox?
No, sir, I told disability.
Okay. What is, do you know the address of your niece, where that's where you're gonna be staying?
No, sir, I can get it. I'm supposed to look at the funeral video at 2 o'clock. Today was the funeral, and last night they was drinking and she went out, so I went back off on her. I'm trying to see why did I get locked up. I don't know what she told me. She told me I had drugs on me or something. They wanted to search me all night long.
Ms. Wilcox, that's something that'll be determined as this process plays itself out. Okay, I see your form. You're not going to be able to go back to this 4181 Williamson Road address while this is pending.
Okay.
I'm going to find that you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. As I indicated before, you're going to have a preliminary hearing date of March 29th. It's going to be over Zoom like we're having here today. Do you understand the stay away provisions, ma'am?
Sir?
Do you understand the stay away provisions, to stay away from that home?
Yeah.
Do you have any questions of me?
But I better to get my mom's stuff and my stuff.
As you're going through the process of bonding out, you need to make the officials there at the jail know that you need to recover some items from that home, and they will make arrangements with you for a time for there to be a sheriff's department official there for you to recover your items. This is not going to be like an all-day thing where you're there for 8 hours.
I don't have nothing but a couple suitcases. I just right here.
It's going to be a relatively short period of time, but they're just going to be there to protect you and to protect the people who are there, okay?
Okay.
Any other questions, ma'am?
Okay.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So it looks like we have Mr. Rodriguez and then Ms. Bermudez, you can go about your day.
Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
And I have 2 other individuals on the list, Judge. I just want to make sure that they're not going to need me.
I was told that there was Mr. Ortiz and Mr. Rodriguez, but Mr. Ortiz has bonded out.
Okay.
So is there anyone else other than Mr. Rodriguez, Deputy Blam?
On my knowledge, Judge, that was it.
Okay. Mr. Rodriguez, good morning, sir.
Señor Rodríguez, buenos días, señor.
Buenos días.
Good morning.
Mr. Rodriguez, you've been charged with 1 count of driving a vehicle without a license.
Señor Rodríguez, a usted se le acusa de un cargo de manejar un vehículo sin licencia de conducir.
Sí.
Yes.
The bond for this offense is set at $1,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
La fianza por este delito está fija a $1,000. ¿Cree usted que va a poder pagar esta fianza, señor?
Sí.
Yes.
I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out.
Yo le voy a fijar la audiencia preliminar para el día 30 de marzo a las 8:30 de la mañana, pero esa audiencia se cancela tan pronto usted salga bajo fianza.
Okay.
Okay.
Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
¿Usted está planeando contratarse su propio abogado, representarse a sí mismo, o usted quiere que yo vea si usted califica para que le nombren un abogado de oficio?
Lo mismo. Lo mismo.
No le escucho.
Lo mismo.
The interpreter cannot understand, Judge, what Mr. Rodriguez is saying.
Mr. Rodriguez, would you slow it down a little bit?
Señor Rodríguez, ¿podría usted hablar un poquito más despacio y decirme nuevamente?
¿Qué me representa?
I'm going to represent myself.
Okay. If you don't have any other questions of me, sir, you're free to go back.
Si usted no tiene ninguna otra pregunta para mí, señor, puede retirarse.
Gracias.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
A su orden.
Okay, Ms. Bermudez, you are free to go.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Have a good day.
You too.
Thank you.
So are we ready with the females?
Yes, Judge.
Okay.
Alan.
State your name for the judge. State your name for the judge.
Norena Thomas Allen.
Ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of obstructing an officer. The bond is going to be set at $1,500 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes.
I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Representing myself.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Clark.
Good morning, Ms. Clark.
Good morning. How are you?
I'm doing well. You've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. I'm going to set the bond at $5,000 for that. And I'm going to put a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Justin Irving. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes, sir. I think I can.
Okay. And do you understand the stay away provision?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out.
Okay.
Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
A court appointed, please.
Okay. I'm going to find you qualified, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, I don't.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Hicks.
Okay. Good morning, Ms. Hicks.
Good morning.
You've been charged with 1 count of battery and 1 count of criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree. I've set the bond for the battery offense at $5,000, and I've set the bond for the criminal trespass at $2,500. So that's a total bond of $7,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
Yes.
Okay. There's also going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Devon Rousen. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
See if I can qualify.
Okay, I'm going to find that you qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am? Okay, you're free to go back.
Jenkins.
Good morning, Ms. Jenkins.
Good morning.
You've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass for an unlawful purpose. And it's going to be a misdemeanor. The bond is going to be set at $5,000 for this offense. And there's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Eushina Martins Aladima. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am? I'm sorry. Are you there? Uh-oh. Appears like the Wi-Fi is frozen. Okay, I'm sorry, ma'am. It froze, so I didn't hear your response. Do you believe you can post a bond? Oh, it looks like it keeps freezing.
Can you hear me, Your Honor?
I can.
It's probably for the females that I don't know what's going on over there.
Yeah, it is.
Ms. Gardner, you might have to log off and log back.
Huh. Okay. Let's see. On the male side, it looks like it's working.
Yeah, we're good over here.
We can hear you, Judge Gardner.
Okay, so
Oh, there it is.
yeah, it looks like it's working now. Ms. Jenkins, do you believe you can post a bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you understand the stay away provision?
No, well, the house is mine, I own it, and I rent. And the tenant's there, and if I'm not there to be able to open the door for them, it's gonna present a problem, or to turn on the heat or other things. It's my house.
Is Ms. Jenkins still a tenant at this residence?
Yes,
Explain to me the housing arrangements.
I rent rooms, I stay there like seasonal. And I just left in January, January 12th, after doing some remodeling and had to come back because a departing tenant destroyed my plumbing.
Okay. Do you understand, Ms. Jenkins, that you can't resort to self-help as it relates to these circumstances?
Yes, but I didn't know I was doing that, but yes, I understand now.
Okay. Did you say you live at this residence?
Yes, I do.
Is there anyone else that can help you with this?
As far as the bond payment?
No, as it relates to the housing.
I can try to find a place to stay, but right now I can't say that I have a place to stay.
So I'm going to remove this stay away provision. There is a basic policy that when there's a violent offense, such as battery, simple battery, that there's a stay away provision that's placed on the bond. And the basic reason for that is that you don't want this, I don't want you bonding out and then whatever incident that led to your being before me flares up again and someone gets injured.
I understand.
Under these circumstances, you're placing items outside of the room. So there's no allegation of violent contact.
Right.
But I need you to understand, Ms. Jenkins, that there are a lot of people that wouldn't care about your circumstance and may just go ahead and just say you need to find somewhere else to live. So please take that into account when you bond out and you go back home.
I definitely will.
And if this is a circumstance in the future where there's a resident, you actually could be liable civilly for what you're alleged to have done here, and that person can sue you and recover. So if you're going to run this as a business, you need to treat it as a business.
I will.
Okay.
I will.
Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
You can see if I qualify.
I'm going to find that you qualify, Ms. Jenkins. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. There's going to be a preliminary hearing date that's going to be set for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Do you have any questions of me, ma'am?
No, I don't.
You're free to go back.
Thank you.
Guilty.
Okay. Ms. Jenkins, you've been charged with one count of theft of lost or miscellaneous property and a second count of identity fraud, that being using a person's phone to place money in a cash app account. I'm going to set a $2,000 bond for the theft of lost or miscellaneous property and a $15,000 bond for the identity fraud, for a total bond of $17,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am? So the identity fraud is going to be a felony. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning. And that's gonna be over a Zoom call like we're having here today. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes,
You do qualify, ma'am, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
I do. With these charges, I have not lived in Georgia since the end of December 2019. I've been living in Alabama, so I don't know where these charges came from, but if I bond out, can I go home or do I have to stay in Georgia? Because I have a job and apartment in Alabama.
Yes, ma'am, you will be able to go back home. And just so you're aware, allegation is that on June 3rd of 2020, that you took a phone from a Mr. Winston Carter.
I have not lived
You said you don't know where it's coming from. I'm trying to explain to you where it's coming from. I don't know whether it's true or false or anything. I'm just trying to explain it to you, okay? So it says that you took the phone from a Mr. Winston Carter and then you used the phone to obtain about $500 from his bank account using Cash App. That's the allegation, okay? Do you have any other questions, ma'am?
No, that's all.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Me?
Good morning.
Morning, are you Miss Lee?
I am.
Okay, Miss Lee, apparently it looked like you and your brother were both charged with similar offenses.
Yes.
You were charged with simple battery and criminal trespass, and I think he was charged with just simple battery.
Okay.
I'm putting a $5,000 bond on the simple battery, a $2,500 bond on the criminal trespass, for a total of $7,500. There's going to be a stay away provision, a stay away from Deventi Lee. And I'm assuming that's your brother?
It is. It's really been an ongoing situation, and I want to know, how do I go about on getting a PTO against him for me and my son, because he's going over to my dad's house and bullying my 13-year-old son.
So what you would do is, currently now, because of the COVID times, you can apply for an application through the county's website. So it's, I believe it's Clayton County GA.gov, and you navigate to the magistrate court page, and you can make an application for that.
Okay.
And then it has instructions that you would need to follow as it relates to that. Do you believe you can post this bond, ma'am?
I can.
Okay. And do you understand the stay away provision?
Well, I'm kind of confused because we were at my father's house. So how does that work? Because my son lives with my father. My brother does not live at my father's house.
Okay. So I am putting a stay away provision on his bond also to stay away from you.
Mm-hmm.
And so that means that the two of you cannot be in the same space.
That works for me. That works for me. If I had known he was at my father's house yesterday, I wouldn't have went over there.
Right. So if you're at your father's house and he shows up, he has to leave.
Right.
If he's at your father's house and you show up, you have to leave. Okay?
Okay.
Now, do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Please.
You do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. That I'm going to put a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out.
Okay.
Do you have any questions?
I'm sorry.
March 30th.
The amount. I'm sorry.
It's $7,500.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, ma'am?
No, that's it. Have a great day.
You too.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Are you Miss?
Yes, sir, I am.
Ma'am, you've been charged with 1 count of criminal trespass. I'm gonna put a $1,500 bond on this. And I'm also gonna put a provision on this to not return to the 7836 Star Boulevard address.
Yes, sir.
And I believe there's another gentleman arrested with you also. He's gonna have the same condition and the same bond.
Okay, that's my boyfriend. I have a question, Your Honor.
Yes, ma'am.
Is there any way that I can waive this, please?
Is there any way that you can do what?
Can I do a waiver? Can
Yes,
I
ma'am.
waive?
Yes,
Please,
ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You can waive the preliminary hearing. I'm gonna do a waiver form, and I will send that through with your paperwork. And so you'll get a court date at some time in the future, but you have to make sure you give them a good address.
I got a good address. I thought that I would have to fill out this form right here. They have forms on this on there.
Yes, if they have a form there, fill it out.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Okay, do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Please, sir.
Okay, you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any other questions of me?
Yeah, with me being at the laundromat, it was raining really bad, and I was on my way. Me and my boyfriend was on the way. He was walking me home to my mom's house. It started storming so bad, and that's the only reason why. The closest place that was open that I had gone into to get out the rain. But I have a question. Do you do any SOB buying?
At this point, ma'am, we're not doing the OR bonds. So you will have to post a bond on this. And everything you just told me, make sure you tell your lawyer.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Do you have any other questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, you can go back.
Can you tell me how much my bond? Yeah, sir, one more question. How much is the bond? 1,000 and what?
It's $1,500.
Okay.
Okay. All right. You're welcome.
I need to find something. Good morning, Your Honor.
Good morning. Are you Miss Parks?
Yes.
Okay, ma'am, give me 1 second. Okay, so you've been charged with a number of offenses. Most of them are driving related, except for, I believe there's one felony. So you've been charged with driving under the influence of alcohol to the extent that you are a less safe driver. The bond is going to be set at $5,000 for that. You were charged with driving on the wrong side of the road. You were charged with driving a vehicle without having your license on your person. You were also charged with improper turn at an intersection. You're charged with driving a vehicle without insurance, possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and crossing the guard line with a narcotic or a drug, and that's the felony offense. So you're gonna have a $5,000 bond for the DUI, $500 bond for driving on the wrong side of the road, $1,000 bond for driving with a license down on your person, $500 bond for improper turn at an intersection, $1,000 bond for driving a vehicle without insurance, $1,500 bond for possession of marijuana less than an ounce, and a $5,000 bond for crossing the guard line with drugs, gun, or alcohol. That's going to be a total bond of $15,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, ma'am?
I'm not sure.
Okay. I'm going to set a I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning, and that's gonna be over Zoom hearing like we're having here today. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, do I qualify for bond?
Yes, ma'am. Your total bond is gonna be $15,500. Okay?
Mhm.
I'm gonna find that you do qualify, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back, ma'am.
Nicole Turner, Your Honor.
Ms. Turner, you've been charged with one count of contributing to the delinquency or deprivation of a minor. I'm setting the bond for both you and your husband at $1,500. I'm also just wanting to advise you, ma'am, that in the future, the way that you could have avoided being arrested in this case is just notify someone. You could have went to the police department and declared your child to be unruly, and they would have taken over. I understand as a parent, I have 3 children. I understand what you go through as a parent. But the way that you and your husband handled things was just not the appropriate way, okay? I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th. And that date will get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Court appointment, please.
Okay. I'm gonna find you qualified, ma'am. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir, thank you.
You're welcome. You're free to go back.
Hey, Judge.
Yes.
Yes, sir. Ms. Clark, she's unclear about her stay away order. She wants to know, could you speak with you further
Yes.
on that? Okay.
Yes.
We're gonna bring her back up, okay?
Okay.
Okay.
Hi.
Hi, Ms.
So-
Clark. What's your question?
So I'm 6 months pregnant and we live together. He's actually my fiance. And so I'm confused on how that's gonna work out with the stay away order.
Give me 1 second.
Okay.
So this is my concern, Ms. Clark. Generally, when there's a violent crime in like simple battery, and the individuals live together, we place a stay away provision.
Understood.
Because whatever happened that led to your being before a judge, we just don't want that situation to flare up once again. I have no way of knowing whether this was just, something that was just blown out of proportion, or something where the police arrived right before somebody got shot, stabbed, or killed. Do you believe that Mr. Irvine would move out?
No, he's a truck driver, so he's rarely home anyways. I mean, they arrested us, they put us in the same patrol car. So I mean, it's not like we're, at it. I mean, of course, things kind of went to a whole nother level, but we're not, and with me being pregnant and not working, all this is kind of just a bit much for me to have to try and get up, or him having to get up and move, and he's always working and I'm trying to sit in the house, you know?
Okay. Okay, what I'm gonna do, Ms. Clark, I'm gonna address Mr. Irvine when we are done, to see if he would be willing to move out. So this is the issue, which has happened, honestly, is as soon as this proceeding is over, someone starts to call the prosecutor's office and say that they are afraid. And I don't know why the judge didn't put a stay away provision. I'm afraid, I'm afraid, I'm afraid.
Understood.
They've never, I'm meeting you for the first time. I'm gonna meet him for the first time soon. And the problem with when these types of behaviors come before us is like, this is really high school behavior.
I agree.
And so as adults, we're all trying to figure this stuff out, right? And the last thing that anybody wants to see, for example, for you to lose your child, for you to lose your life, for him to lose his life. What I would do, Ms. Irvine, I appointed a lawyer to you, correct?
Yes, you did.
Okay. I'm gonna speak to Mr. Irvine to see, and I'll check and see if he qualifies also. Upon bonding out, if both you and Mr. Irvine are not afraid, two things. One, contact the lawyer that I'm appointing. In the law office is going to be Lister, Lister, and Holt, Holt. And he's probably going to get a conflict lawyer because they're going to have an issue representing you both.
Understood.
But as long as the solicitor's office, which is the prosecuting office that will handle these misdemeanor charges, as long as they're satisfied that the two of you are not about to kill each other, I'm sure that they're going to consent to this condition being lifted and waived. And I'm going to speak to him also. And as I'm saying, because I don't know you and I don't know him.
I understand you're doing your job. I get it. I was just wondering because it's just a little complicated considering the circumstances, you know.
Yes, and generally what will happen is that people are encouraged from this point on, because of all of the crap that I'm sure the two of you have been through since this whole situation happened with your laptop and his gaming system, that none of this is worth it. Whatever you guys are arguing about.
Yeah, no, it's not. It's not at all.
Okay. So that's what I'll do. I'll speak to him and I'll let him know that you have a concern and that you've expressed the fact that you are pregnant. And I will address him to see if this is something that the two of you can work out as quickly as possible so that you can go about living your life.
Okay.
Okay. And that's about the best that I can do at this point.
Understood. So I just need to contact Lister and Holt, which is the solicitor, to see if I can.
Well, Lister and Holt is the law firm, and I'll make a notation because I send the paperwork over to them when I'm done with these proceedings, to just so that they know that they've been appointed to represent you. And I'll make a notation and see if they could get someone who may be able to make a phone call today, so that issue is addressed, because the two of you will be bonding out today.
Yes, we will.
Yeah. Okay. Any other questions, ma'am?
No, sir, that's it.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right, thank you.
All right, Judge, that should be all the females.
Okay.
All right, folks. Wind down. Your Honor, whenever you're ready for the man, just let me know.
I'm ready.
Hey, Phyllis, keep it down. Your Honor, it's alphabetical order. I have Mr. You say your name when you come up.
Christian Afekwa.
Okay, sir, you've been charged with 1 count of simple battery. The bond is going to be set at $5,000 for this offense. And there's going to be a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from a Soma Mohammed. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, do you understand the stay away provision on the bond?
Yes, sir.
I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. You want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, sir, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
I don't know, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
You done, you just want to.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. You're charged with 1 count of obstructing an officer and 1 count of simple assault. I'm setting the bond for each of these offenses at $3,000 for a total bond of $6,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I would.
You have a lawyer?
No, I would like to see if I qualify.
Okay. You do qualify, sir, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out.
Okay.
Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, not at all.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Tell your name when you go up. Don't close the door.
Tyrone Booker.
Mr. Booker, you've been charged with 1 count of theft by taking. The bond is going to be set at $2,000 for that. That's a scheduled bond. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
I was gonna ask for time served. It was a cup of coffee.
Unfortunately, I can't give you time served. I mean, honestly, if we had a prosecutor here, you could get time served and be done with it.
At least a signature bond or something. I never received a signature bond.
We don't give signature bonds currently.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna have to be a posting of that bond. What I could do, sir, is, would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yeah.
You do qualify, Mr. Booker, and what I'm gonna do, I send the forms over today for them to know that you've been appointed, or they've been appointed to represent you. I'm gonna place on the form that you want to plead guilty, and that should put you at the top of the list to have this done quickly.
All right, that's fine.
Okay. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th.
I want to see could you go down on the bond since I've been in here one day already.
This is set by schedule, which means it's automatically set.
All right.
Okay. Any other questions?
Oh, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Don't close the door when you do.
Give me 1 second. Tell me your name, sir.
Robert Chambers.
Okay, give me 1 second, Mr. Chambers. Mr. Chambers, you've been charged with 1 count of family violence battery and 1 count of affray. The bond is set automatically on the affray charge at $1,000. I'm gonna set a $5,000 bond for the family violence battery. And I'm gonna put a stay away provision to stay away from Danny Golden. Do you believe you can post this total bond of $6,000, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'm also gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Let me see if I qualify.
You do qualify, Mr. Chambers. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Yes, sir. The thing is, I just moved down here and I was renting a room from him. And I still got some stuff in his house and I got some important mail coming to there. So I'll kind of see if I can work that out.
So when you're bonding out, you let the officials from the sheriff's department know that you have items that you need to retrieve from that residence, and they will make an appointment with you for you to go over there and get your stuff. But it's not going to be like an all-day thing. So they'll be there for a little while so that you can get the stuff that you need to get, okay?
Yes, sir. One more question. If I'm renting a room with him, from him, like, do I supposed to just get kicked out like that? Or do I have to, the order to stay away?
Well, the problem is that
Cause this thing I done paid for, I done paid my rent up and now I'm supposed to stay away, like, don't I supposed to get my money back or something from him like that?
well, that would be a civil issue. The problem is that there's only so much that we can do in circumstances like this. Like we can't have somebody sitting at the house making sure that there's not another fight, right? So when this happens and someone gets called out, it's basically kind of like a blunt hammer that gets dealt with a situation that may have to have fine detail. Now, that fine detail can happen later, but at this stage, it's basically something where my only tool is to have you to stay away.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Tell me your name, sir.
DeMarco Dublin.
Mr. Dublin, you've been charged with 1 count of possession of firearm by a convicted felon. I'm going to set a $15,000 bond for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
I'm also setting a preliminary hearing date for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning. And do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself? Or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I would like to see if I qualify for appointed lawyer.
You do qualify, Mr. Dublin. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Tell me your name, sir. Give me 1 second, Mr. Frederick. Okay, Mr. Frederick, you've been charged with driving a vehicle with tint that's too dark. Bond is going to be set at $500 for that. Possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The bond is going to be set at $1,500 for that. And there was a pill that they suspect, it looks like to be MDMA. I'm gonna set a bond at $5,000 for that. So that's a total bond of $7,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir, for the bonding company.
Okay. I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning. You plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
You can see if I qualify.
I'm going to find that you qualify, Mr. Frederick. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir, thank you.
You're welcome. You're free to go back.
How you doing, y'all?
Good morning. What's your name, sir?
Morris Grant.
Hold on, Your Honor. Hold on, Your Honor. I'm sorry. Hold on.
Okay.
Okay, we're good.
Okay, Mr. Grant, you've been charged with one count of giving a false name, address, or date of birth. I'm going to set the bond at $2,000 for this. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir?
I can, but I'm trying to pay a lawyer for my probation at the same time, so I'm trying to get everything squashed this week, if I could.
You're trying to get everything what?
Dealt with this week?
Okay. You have a probation hearing this week?
Yes, I do, Thursday.
And that's going to be here in Clayton County?
I think so.
Do you have a lawyer for that?
Yes, I do, sir.
Is that a retained lawyer?
Yes, he is.
What's your lawyer's name?
Ed Adams?
You said Ed Adams?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Well, I would encourage you to wait to resolve all of this at the same time, if that's what you're saying you want to do.
Well, I'll take the $200 bond. I pay that too. I pay that Thursday as well.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
You're free to go back.
Byron Hamilton.
Give me 1 second, sir. It's Mr. Hamilton.
Yes, sir.
All right, you've been charged with one count of criminal trespass. I'm going to set the bond at $5,000 for that. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
I probably can, but I'll have to make some calls. But if I don't, then what's the next process step?
So I'm going to set you a preliminary hearing date for March 30th. And do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a
I have
lawyer?
to see if I qualify.
You do qualify. So they're going to get notified today that they've been appointed to represent you. And if you don't believe that you're going to be able to get out, and this is something that you want to try to get resolved, they can probably move you to the front of the list so that you're not sitting here until March 30th.
Yeah, Judge, I have 4 kids, and my mother has them now because I'm here, and she has congestive heart failure. I don't know if that matters or not, but I just have to get my kids back. I don't want my body to pass because of them.
Okay, so
Lower the bond, I can get somebody to pay it faster than 5,000.
I understand that, Mr. Hamilton, but which I've said to people before, I mean, you had 4 kids before you broke somebody's cell phone. Or broke, I'm sorry,
The window.
window.
Your Honor, I was running away from some dogs, and I didn't have anywhere to go, so that's the only place I had to run. It was an abandoned apartment.
Well, the allegation that they said is that you broke it out of anger. Now, I don't know, look, and again, that's the allegation, right? I don't know. All I know is you're standing before me charged with this. And my job is to appoint a lawyer and move you along so that you're not just languishing, okay?
Okay.
So the bond is gonna stay where it's set. And I'm gonna appoint a lawyer to represent you and tell them what you just told me. I mean, that may lead to the dismissal of your charges. I don't know.
Okay, at this point, can I make some calls to see if I can get the bond money?
Yes,
Is that 10% or what is it? How's it go?
it's gonna be a percentage, right, of the bond. Now, you're gonna have to contact the bonding companies and tell them your bond, and they'll tell you what they'll charge you. And whatever they say they're gonna charge you is what you would have to pay them. Okay? So, and what I'm saying is I don't work for the bonding company, so nobody in the sheriff's department can tell you, you know, this is what's gonna happen. They can tell you what you can expect, but it's gonna be up to the individual bonding companies to tell you what they're gonna charge, okay?
Right.
Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Yo. Come on. Yeah.
Say your name, sir?
Jamar Hartley Cook.
Okay. Mr. Cook, you've been charged with one count of concealing a tag, one count of driving a vehicle with an expired tag, and there's an open container violation. There was also a warrant out for your arrest for criminal damage to property, and that's been in effect since July 4th of 2020. Because it appears that you are still on probation, I am not allowed to set a bond on the criminal trespass damage to property warrant. But there are $500 bonds that are set for the other offenses. There's going to be a stay away provision to stay away from a Jacayla Scott. I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. And that's going to be over a Zoom hearing like we're having here today. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I mean, you can see if I qualify, but most likely yeah, you can see if I qualify.
Okay, you do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. You can hire your own lawyer if that's something that you want to do.
Okay, so by you said I got a hold.
Yes, it let's see. I'm sorry. Let me pull it up. If you want me to pull it up, I'll pull it up. It was something from 2019.
You said by me having a warrant, you can't put a bond on that.
Yeah, that warrant has been pending since July of last year.
It's been pending since July of last year. The
Yes,
trespass warrant.
I'm sorry?
Some of the trespassing warrant.
Yes.
Okay. So by that I can't bond out now, period, if I wanted to.
It's let me tell you, I'll tell you exactly. Let's see. Let's see. Let's see, you got 5 years probation.
That's 3 years probation.
I'm sorry.
It should be 3 years probation, not 5.
Well, let's see, it was July 2nd, 2019. It says you got 2 years probation for purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, and sale of marijuana. You got 5 years probation for possession of firearm and knife with the commission or attempt to commit a felony. You got 3 years probation for possession or transport of a firearm by a convicted felon. 12 months probation for possession and use of drug-related objects. And you got 2 years, 6 months probation again. It says purchase, possession, manufacture, distribution, and sale of marijuana. And those two that had 2 years, 6 months, you got 6 months confinement to go with it. So it's like a total of 3 years. But I'm looking at the charge 2, which is possession of firearm, knife during commission of or attempt to commit certain felonies. And these were all handed down on July 2nd of 2019. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's only 3 years. They only gave me 3 years probation off.
Okay. Well, what you can do, tell your lawyer why I'm basing my decision on denying bond. And if I'm wrong, this is something that they can fix. But I just want you to know why what I was basing my decision on.
So you denied the trespassing charge because I'm on probation?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so I can't bond out, period.
Not right now. And I'm basing that on what I see on your criminal history. Like you're telling me that it was only 3 years. If that's the case and you're not under this, then that will get corrected. Okay?
You said I go to court when?
The next court date that's assigned is March 30th, but you can get into court a lot faster than that through your lawyer.
All right.
Okay? Any other questions?
Nah, I'm good.
Okay. You're free to go back. Tell me your name.
Justin Irvin.
Okay, Mr. Irvin, I wanted to speak to you because Ms. Clark has been arrested also, correct?
Correct.
I gave you and her the exact same conditions, a $5,000 bond and the stay away provision on the bond. She indicated that the two of you live together and that she's 6 months pregnant. Because of how this situation has come up, I told her I was going to keep the stay away provision on. I appointed her a lawyer. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, please.
You do qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I told her because of how this has come up that I wasn't comfortable removing the stay away provision. However, I appointed her a lawyer. I will appoint you a lawyer. I'm going to make a notation on this form that the two of you, I presume you want the stay away provision to be lifted. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's just a childish mistake, you know. We have another human being to worry about. It's just a, childish mistake, to be honest with you. That's all this is.
Well, and that's basically what I said to her, is like, this was a high school thing.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, because I don't know you and I don't know her, and because this is something that was so childish, I'm going to put a notation on both of these forms. The solicitor office, the Clayton County solicitor, is the person that makes the determinations as to whether they will modify or lift this condition. They can do it today, they can do it tomorrow. Okay. I'm not trying to get in the middle of whatever you guys have going on. And I'm also not trying to be in a situation where there's a murder or two people are injured or you lose your child because the two of you although you seem to be very reasonable here, both of you, that you get back home and something else happens, okay? And I apologize that the system is not set up in a way where we can do better, but at the same time, the two of you are adults. Y'all have kind of brought this into our lap, and we have to do what we have to do. So I'm going to appoint a lawyer. You have a $5,000 bond. There's a stay away provision on the bond. And do you understand that stay away provision?
I mean, what do you mean by stay away? You know, place or how? What do you mean? She got to stay away from there, or you saying when we talk to the other person, then we can work it out from there? What exactly?
Right now, the condition is the two of you have to stay away from each other.
Okay.
I am making a notation that the two of you live together, you have a child, and that the two of you may want to modify this condition.
Yeah, we want to waive that.
Well, it'll be a modification, okay? And what that means is that your lawyers will contact the solicitor's office on both of your behalf, both your lawyers, and say, hey, these people, this was, like you said, childish mistake. They're ready to move past this and move on with their life, okay? So that's the step. Those are the steps in order to get this thing taken care of. Okay? Do you have any questions of me, sir?
How do I, so I have to reach them through the lawyer, correct?
Yes, what happens, there's a law firm that handles misdemeanors in Clayton County, and that law firm, the name is Lister, Lister, and Holt.
Just get my paperwork so I can just have it right then and there or something like that, or I have to write this down.
Well, I'm sending the forms over to them.
Okay.
Now, because the two of you are both charged with the same offense, or charged, you have conflicts of interest. You're both charged with doing this against each other. The law firm most likely can't represent both of you. So you will have a different lawyer because she was appointed first. So it complicates things unnecessarily, but honestly, the next time the two of you get angry with each other about something, just remember this process and how stupid all of this is. So you don't get yourself caught up into it. But I'm going to make a notation. I gave her the information about contacting Lister and Holt. I honestly don't know who would be appointed to represent you, but it should be a conflict, but they're gonna both know that the two of you want this condition to be waived. And ideally somebody gets working on that. It may happen today, but most likely tomorrow. But you'll be going through this process. But until that happens, I think she indicated that you were a truck driver. I don't know if you have a place to go or if she has a place to go. I said, I can't get in the middle of that. I'm not kicking anybody out of anywhere. But at the same time, okay. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right, thank you.
You're welcome.
Good morning.
Good morning, sir. What's your name?
Isaac Johnson.
Mr. Johnson, you've been charged with 4 offenses. One open container offense, that's going to be a $500 bond. Driving a vehicle without a license, that's going to be a $1,000 bond. Driving under the influence of alcohol and driving under the influence of alcohol refusal. They're both related to the same thing, but they can be charged at the same time. Each one of those are going to have $5,000 bonds. So you're going to have a total bond of $11,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yep.
Okay, I'm setting a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself? You want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
You can see if I qualify.
You do qualify, Mr. Johnson. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. Tell me your name, sir.
Nicholas Kingston.
Mr. Kingston, you've been charged with 1 count of use or possession of drug-related objects. Bond's gonna be set at $1,500 for that, and 1 count of possession of marijuana less than an ounce. The bond also is gonna be set at $1,500 for a total bond of $3,000. You believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Okay, I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? I'm sorry?
You can see if I qualify.
Sorry. How much do you earn per month, Mr. Kingston?
Why?
I'm sorry?
Why?
So indigent people are the only ones that qualify for a lawyer. If you don't want to tell me how much you make, that's fine. Your choices are going to be hire your own lawyer, represent yourself. It's up to you.
I'll represent myself.
Okay. Do you have any other questions of me, sir? You're free to go back. Tell me your name, sir.
Vincent Lee.
Okay, Mr. Lee, both you and your sister have similar charges. You're gonna have a $5,000 bond, and I think her bond was a little bit more because she had 2 charges. But she has a stay away provision on her bond to stay away from you, and you're gonna have a stay away provision on your bond to stay away from her. Do you believe you can post that bond?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And do you understand the stay away provision on the bond?
Yes, sir. I don't even know why I seen it yesterday. Like, I don't know. But that ain't no problem. I got my own plan.
Okay. I'm gonna set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th. That date is gonna get waived upon your bonding out. Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see?
For this matter right here, I can represent myself. I don't need no lawyer.
Okay. If you don't have any questions of me, sir, you are free to go back.
Okay, thank you, Your Honor.
Tell me your name, sir.
Richard Love.
Okay. Mr. Lowe, you've been charged with 1 count of contributing to the delinquency or deprivation of a minor. And I don't know if you heard me speak to your wife, but setting the bond at $1,500 for this. I set the bond the same for your wife. And I told her, you know, I understand with kids, especially teenagers or preteens, things can get kind of messy, but if the child is acting in a way that, for example, the child's like, I don't want to live here anymore, you can take the child to the police department and have the child to be declared unruly. And then that goes through juvenile court. And so I understand what you guys may have been trying to do, but you just went about it the wrong way.
Right, there's steps and we get your punishment.
Okay. Now, do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself? You want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, can you please tell me if I qualify for a lawyer?
You do qualify, Mr. Lowe. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I'm also going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
Yes, if me or my wife bonds out, are we able to get the other person out? Because it's only us 3. We moved here from there.
Yes, sir.
Okay. And again, with us moving from Missouri to just us 3, am I able to sign myself out, or how would that work?
So you both are going to have bonds that you're going to have to use a bonding company, or you can use your own funds.
Yes, because we had though. I can pay the $1,500. I just need to know how.
Yes, you can. And I'll say this. The experts are the people at the sheriff's department that do this 5,000 times a day. So anything that I say has to be taken with a grain of salt. the sheriff's department. Those individuals are the experts.
Okay, okay.
Okay? Any other questions?
No, sir, thank you.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Have a good day.
Mr. McDonald?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you've been charged with 1 count of driving a vehicle with the invalid tag and 1 count of driving a vehicle without a valid license. The total bond for both of these is going to be $1,500. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir. But he got the insurance, like they had that insurance on the car, like the same, like yesterday, he got the car out the town yesterday. The police, they ain't had the right information, because he got the car out the same day.
Okay, so mistakes happen.
Yeah.
Would you like me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'm trying to get out now.
Okay. So you're going to represent yourself?
Yes.
Okay.
My bond is $1,500?
Yes, sir. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date is going to get waived upon your bonding out. Do you have any questions of me?
That's it.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Appreciate it. Thanks, sir.
You're welcome. Have your name, sir? Mr. McNeil, you've been charged with driving too fast for conditions, possession of a firearm by a convicted felon, and possession of marijuana less than an ounce. Their bond sets on the two misdemeanor offenses, but there is an indication on your criminal history that you have 10 years probation out of Butts County. And because of that, I can't set bond at this proceeding for the possession of firearm by a convicted felon. But I did set a preliminary hearing date for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning. And I'm also going to set a bond hearing date for April 4th. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer? I'm sorry?
I said I hire my own lawyer.
Okay. Do you have any questions for me, sir?
There's no way I'll be able to be able to post a bond before March 29th?
Your lawyer can. And the way that this process goes now is that the lawyer can contact the district attorney's office and let them know about this, and they can consent to it, or the probation officer in Butts County can say, we don't care about that, we're fine with it, and it's all right to set them a bond. So those are the two ways that you can get out.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions?
No, that's it. Thank
Okay,
you.
you're free to go back. Tell me your name, sir.
My name is New Bolton.
Okay, Mr. Bolton, you've been charged with 1 count of loitering. I am dismissing this count, but I'm going to tell you this. The statute for loitering basically says that a person is in a place at a point in time that is unusual. And in this particular instance, the arrest warrant seems to indicate that you were at an open gas station. And had there been a situation where this gas station was closed and the officer approached you and asked you to identify yourself and you said no, that could lead to your being arrested. It seems like in this case, from what I've read, you were arrested because you didn't want to identify yourself. And that's not a crime. Okay. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir. I appreciate you dismissing it. It's just for it because I've been having a few things like stacking up on me, and since I've been out here, and I don't want to get into all that. But on this one, I just had pulled over, and I was there for like 5 minutes, and I couldn't get out because they were arresting another man. So it was like I didn't have nowhere to go, and I was reading the Constitution. So for the first time in my life, I tried to exercise my right to not show ID based on what I was reading, and that's what happened.
I understand.
Appreciate you dismissing it, thank you.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right, thank you. So I don't have a bond, I get out today?
No, your charges are dismissed. You're gonna get released.
Okay, thank you.
Tell me your name, sir.
I was rolling.
Mr. Rowland, you've been charged with 1 count of simple battery, family violence, 1 count of criminal damage to property in the 2nd degree, and it's being charged as a felony. Let me see. Hold on, let me make sure. Yes, it's being charged as a felony and 1 count of theft by taking. So you're gonna have a bond set in each of these offenses. The total bond is gonna be $17,000, and there's gonna be a stay away provision to stay away from Chandria Tiller. Do you understand that, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you believe you can post this bond?
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer, representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
If you don't mind, can you see if I qualify?
I'm going to find that you qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir. Thank you, Your Honor.
Well, go back. Tell me your name, sir.
Joshua Rogers.
Mr. Rogers, you've been charged with 1 count of theft by receiving stolen property, being a motor vehicle. Because of your criminal history and the circumstances of this offense, I'm going to deny the bond at this time. But I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 29th at 8:30 in the morning. And that's going to be over a Zoom call like we're having here today. I'm also going to set a bond hearing date for April 4th at 8:30 in the morning. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes.
You do qualify, Mr. Rogers, or Mr. Roger. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No.
Okay, you're free to go back. Are you Mr. Samuels?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Samuels, I've set both your friend's bond at the same amount, which is $1,500. I've also put a stay away provision on the bond to stay away from or not to return to 7836 Target Boulevard in Jonesboro, Georgia. Do you believe you can post a bond, sir?
No, not this time.
She indicated that she wanted to waive her preliminary hearing. Do you also want to waive your preliminary hearing?
I guess so.
And if you're unsure, you can wait and speak to a lawyer about it first.
Yeah, I'd like to do that.
Okay. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, if you could.
You do qualify, so I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. You're going to have a preliminary hearing date set for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date will be waived upon your bonding out. Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Samuels?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Okay.
Dr. Thomas.
Mr. Thomas, you've been charged with 1 count of interference with government property. That's a misdemeanor. I'm going to set the bond at $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
No, sir.
I noted that you were here in custody already. Do you already have a lawyer?
Yes, it's court appointed though, sir.
I'm sorry, court appointed?
Yes, sir.
I'm gonna make a notation of that. You're gonna have a preliminary hearing date set for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date is gonna get waived if you were to bond out. Do you have any questions of me, sir?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Thank you, sir.
You're welcome. What's your name, sir?
Miguel Valerio.
Mr. Valerio, you've been charged with 1 count of use or possession of drug-related objects, 1 count of possession of marijuana, less than an ounce, and 1 count of violation of Georgia Controlled Substance Act.
Yes, sir.
The violation of the Georgia Controlled Substance Act charge, which is a felony, is going to be dismissed because there's no indication in warrantless arrest affidavit that there was a narcotic.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome. You're gonna have bonds set at $1,500 apiece for the remaining 2 offenses. So that's a total bond of $3,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
Yes, sir.
Do you plan on hiring your own lawyer representing yourself, or do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I'd like to represent myself, sir.
Okay. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir, but I appreciate the fact that you dropped the other charge.
You're welcome. You're free to go back. Tell me your name, sir.
Kenneth Willingham.
Okay, Mr. Willingham, you have 1 count of criminal damage to property. And it's being listed as a misdemeanor. The bond is going to be set at $3,000 for that. Do you believe you can post this bond, sir?
No, sir. Okay. And like the criminal damage, that was in my room.
Say that again.
The damage that I did, it was in my room. It was inside my room.
It says that the owner of the property was Rena Donnick.
Yeah, that's my mother.
Okay. So, although it was in your room, do you share ownership of the property?
No, well, I'm not on the lease, but I pay bills.
Okay. That paying the bills doesn't provide like ownership. So you can't damage somebody else's property, even though, let's say you're renting a room. You still can't punch holes in the walls or damage the property in that way. Okay?
Yes, sir.
What I would encourage you to do is to contact the bonding companies, because they may work with you so that you can bond out and not sit in there. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date will be waived upon your bonding out. Do you want me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
I mean, yes, sir.
I'm going to find that you qualify. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. Do you have any questions of me?
No, sir, I don't.
Okay, you're free to go back.
Yeah, how are you today, sir?
Good morning.
Morning, sir.
Or good afternoon now. Sir, you charged one count of affray, which is basically fighting in public.
Yeah, I wanted to comment on that. I wasn't fighting. Oh, sorry.
Your bond is going to be set at $1,000. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th, but that date will get waived upon your bonding out. Now, what is it you want to tell me, Mr. Warren?
I was trying to see if it would be pushed for dismissal because I was jumped and assaulted. I am the victim of the situation. And I tried to cooperate, but my arresting officer, it was like when I got jumped, I couldn't really see who went where because I didn't know why I got jumped. I just moved out here from New York. I went downstairs to go get some food or whatever, and then some guys just basically said I had something to do with some he said, she said. I don't even know. They came and knocked on my room door where I was apprehended at. I live in 207. You can ask my wife, anybody that was standing there. They came up to my room, knocked on my door, and asked me to come downstairs about something. Now, I don't know what they were talking about, so I just came down. The minute I got downstairs, I got jumped. So now once I get jumped, it's like the arresting officer just got there, and he works in my complex out there. So all he sees is me getting beat up. And because I couldn't tell him who was the guys that ran away, he just took me to jail. And the messed up part about it is, all I want to say is I couldn't call my family. I'd have bonded out last night. He literally told my mother, listen, he's not going to jail. He's the victim. Next thing I know, I'm not even in the car with him, the arresting officer. I'm in the car with the guy who has something to do with beating me up. You know what I'm saying? And another guy. So now it's like I'm standing there, and it's like you put me in the same car with the people who assaulted me. I'm the only one with a black eye. I'm the only one that looked hurt. And I said, and I get hit, and now I can't call my family because you told my mother I don't need my cell phone. I don't know none of their numbers. I got a brand new cell phone. I could bond out myself if I had to. I got my own money. I asked the officer not that long ago, I get paid tomorrow. I could bond out myself. It's just I can't call nobody. I don't have no contact. He basically made sure I don't got no contact with none of my family. It's what I'm supposed to do. If I can't call my mother who lives in Forest Park, right down the block in L'Oreal from where I stayed at, I was paying rent at where I was at. All I did was come downstairs because I guess like, you know how I go in the hood, I didn't know where I was moving to. They just basically, I was the guy they wanted to pick on that day. So I got beat up, and because I couldn't see what was going on, I was treated like I'm the criminal. The guys that got arrested with me, they left yesterday because they got their cell phone. That man even let him smoke a cigarette outside the car. He wouldn't even let me talk to my mother. And I just want to know, like, how am I supposed to go about this? Because my thing is, I don't have no problem paying no bond. I don't have no problem with nothing. But if I can't call my mother, or I can't call nobody who can't come, because I asked him if I could bail out myself, and the officer told me as straight as he could. He was very helpful. He said, listen, you can't do it. He said, you can pay for it, but I will have to, I guess, have somebody come and then take my property and pay. But if I can't call them and inform them, and you told them I'm fine, what do they think?
There is, well, let me go through a couple steps and then I'll address exactly.
Yes, please, I just want to know.
No, you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer. Do you want me to appoint a lawyer to represent you?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. The charge of affray in Georgia is basically a fight. It's the legal term for a fight. And officers have discretion as to what they charge and how they charge. And sometimes, listen to me now. Sometimes if they don't feel like they understand who started the fight, if it's like a he say, she say, like you say they started it, they say you started it. The officer, if they can't figure it out, they have the discretion to charge nobody or charge. Listen to me.
Sorry, I'm so sorry.
I'm trying to help you out. You asked for my help, I'm trying to help you. So they have the discretion to charge either nobody or both parties. That's not to say it's right or wrong. That's where appointing you a lawyer who can defend you and get this worked out comes into play, okay? That's number one. Number two, how do you get out of here? The officer that, sheriff's deputy that gave you the information, the sheriff's department, they're the ones that have the best information because they do this all the time. You can contact a bonding company and say, look, I can pay for this right now. They have the numbers. They'll give you the numbers of all of the bonding companies that are authorized to write bonds. So the short thing is getting out, right? You contact the bonding company, you're able to get out. My understanding is 411 still works, where you can use that to find people's numbers. Everybody now, because they plug stuff into their cell phones, it's like if they don't have the cell phone, they're lost. But information still exists.
Nah, you absolutely right. That's exactly what happened. It's like, I just got a new cell phone, and say if you don't pay your bill, I don't even know my cell phone number. They just changed my number. So if I knew my cell phone number, I could at least call my phone and have my wife pick up and come drop it. You do whatever. I don't have none of that. I literally changed the number yesterday, so it was like the worst time to get into anything. And it was, again, I just got beat up. I don't even know what happened. I don't even know how I'm here. I feel like I'm a victim of the situation. I just got assaulted.
But they know that you got arrested, right?
Who? That was my whole point. The arresting officer told my mother and my father, told both of them with my wife, listen, he's not getting arrested. We're detaining him. We're detaining him. He's not getting charged with that. We're detaining him. Now what happens is, in between that time, he's still trying to get the other people in the car. And while he's trying to do that, they got, I guess they got a little, antsy with him or whatever. So I ain't even dealing with that. And then he pushed us in the same car. Like the guy that was getting in the car, when he kicking, mind you, them two people, they out already. They got out last night on the board because they can actually call like family because he knew them. He knew them from that area. Like the arrested officer wasn't just in the area. He works in my complex where I pay rent at. So it's like, you let them do what they want because you know them, but because I'm new and nobody know me, you just gonna throw me through jail?
Mr. Warren, I can almost guarantee you that since your parents haven't heard from you, that they're probably at the jail right now. But there's a process that all of this stuff goes through, right? And so like you said, you would be out now if you were able to contact them.
Yeah, I could just contact my people, I'll be out.
So what I would encourage you to do, Mr. Warren, is go back downstairs. And if your family is not there where they've already posted your bond, contact the bonding company and get yourself out so that you can move to the next stage. Okay? Any other questions?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back. You're Mr. Williams? Mr. Williams, you've been charged with one count of possession of drug-related objects. Bond is going to be set at $1,500 for that. And you've been charged with walking as a pedestrian along a roadway. The bond is automatically set at $500. So that's a total bond of $2,000. Do you believe you can post that bond, sir?
No, sir.
Okay. Would you like for me to see if you qualify for the appointment of a lawyer?
Yes, sir.
You do qualify, Mr. Williams. I'm going to appoint a lawyer to represent you. I'm going to set a preliminary hearing date for March 30th at 8:30 in the morning. That date will be waived if you're able to bond out. Do you have any questions of me, Mr. Williams?
No, sir.
Okay, you're free to go back.
All right, sir. Should have been the last one.
Hey, give me 1 second. The waiver that Ms. McKnight indicated that she was going to sign, is that something that, and I don't have my computer up, so it may have been already emailed to me. Is that something that's going to get emailed to me?
Yeah, we're going to scan it up to you right now. Now, what was the name on it?
It was, last name is McKnight, Shakia Renee.
Yes, sir, I have it. We just need to scan it to you once we finish here.
All right, perfect. You have a good day.
All right, Judge, have a good day. Are you on tomorrow?
No, Judge McKnight is going to be on tomorrow, but I'll be on the rest of the week.
Hey, Judge.
Yes.
I got two other deputies with me, Deputy Dura and Deputy Turner.
How you doing?
They did real well today, so I pretty much stood by, but they actually ran your courtroom today.
Yeah, hold on, give me